Hey, how's it going? This is TJ, co-managing partner at M5 Property Addicts. I'm out here in Durban with Bevan, who's also my partner, out here in Durban, and we're just out scouting at some opportunities and locking them down. Bevan, how's it going?
Good, man. TJ, good to have you in Durban. I see you all geared up for winter in Joburg, and it's nice and summery short sleeves in Durban for the rest of us.
Yeah. Well, I just landed, man. I'm going to take off a little bit of my layers. Yeah, a little bit later.
When you defrost.
Yeah. But anyways, so we're out at a place, right? And we've got this property on lockdown, and we're just trying to strategize on what to do and what not to do. But we found something fascinating actually on the sink, right?
Yes.
And this is kind of like weird because we don't want to be this kind of landlord, right? And if we look back at just behind us here, this is the sink that we're talking about. Okay, if you can see there. Okay. So this is the sink, and Bevan, be careful there, Bevan. Okay, so if we were to go down here, there's no support structure of sort, nothing on this thing, right?
Yeah, just a pipe poked into the wall.
Yeah.
I think the idea is to save a little bit of costs, but really it's going to be destroyed, so you're almost wasting your time.
So how are you saving cost here, Bevan?
The lack of material. So all they've done is just two pipes stuck into the wall. The rest
Okay.
of the
So there's a pipe underneath here that's supposed to support the sink, but we can clearly see there's a big gap there. And then if we go this side, there's another. Okay, there's there's another pipe. There's another pipe holding there with the wooden stick. This is strange. I've never seen this, Bev.
Yeah, I think it also shows you the lack of maintenance for the property after it's been installed.
Yeah.
And now it's a case of, well, I've made a plan, you guys look after it.
Yeah.
Whereas you can see the students have obviously tried to wedge in the stick in there to try and get it to stay level.
You think it's the students, or I think it's the landlord, man?
I think the landlord would have done the original and it's probably got bent by the students.
Yeah.
So now the students have to make a plan. So I think it's important, number one, once you've got infrastructure in here, look after the students. Make sure that they're getting what they need.
Yeah.
So if it does get broken, let's fix it and fix it better than it was before. So if we had to do this, it's a nice sink in itself, but then it's got to have a secure cabinet underneath it. If you don't want to put a wooden structure in there, then put a full steel structure. Or what we find quite often is the guys will build the cabinet out of brickwork, which again in itself is a nice solid structure. The students have to take a bulldozer to it to destroy it, and it's also not going to rot from your water issues.
Yeah. Well, we're not plumbers, but at least, investing in property, at least we know the basics, right? And we should be able to know what to do. But anyway, thanks a lot on this advice, and this is a nice chuckle. Thanks, Bevan. Cheers.
Awesome. It's a decent property.
Yeah.
So it's got enough toilets, enough showers in this space for the amount of students on this floor.
Yeah.
Very interesting one for us, and we're kind of trying to figure it out. For some reason, there's locks on the outside of the door. Now, the only reason I can understand that that's for is because there's no actual latches on the door, so the doors swing open by themselves. But it would be very concerning for anyone being locked inside that toilet from the outside, which then puts it into the position where students like to horseplay. So guaranteed someone's going to lock someone else into the toilet, and guaranteed the guy on the inside is going to get claustrophobic and kick the door out. So you leave yourself open to some heavy issues around that.
So that's a recipe for disaster already.
Exactly.
Yeah, having a little bit of few clowns on your property. Yeah. Okay, good. So now this was more fascinating for me. This is the shower, but on the shower, they've got tiles in here. But the tiles is overlaid with something else. Bevan, you're the clever one here. What is
so
this?
this is membrane waterproofing. So the same
Okay.
sort of waterproofing that you put on the roof of a leaking building.
Yeah.
So it's a membrane and then painted over. And the
So,
problem,
so you're saying there's tiles in here?
there are tiles in there, so you can see the pattern of the mosaic underneath.
Just like these tiles here?
Yeah, that mosaic.
Okay.
And I think the problem.
So what's a membrane? I mean, in layman terms,
it's like a material, like a unwoven cloth that you put down, and then you soak that with the paint, and that paint makes it lock and become waterproof. So you're basically putting a new surface on.
Yeah.
Now the problem is, this is something that's happened after the fact. So they're doing it as a solution for the water leak that is happening. And the reason this is a problem is because underneath this bathroom is another kitchen for the downstairs part of this building.
Yeah.
So they've obviously got water damage that's happening downstairs. So they're trying to find a solution here. The thing that you should do in this environment is start the whole thing the correct way. And that really comes down to, when you do the building, don't cut corners on your bathrooms, on your showers especially. Do the waterproofing before you do the tiling. Quite often guys rush into doing the tiling and they leave the waterproofing out, or they find it's too expensive to do the waterproofing. Someone will maybe advise them that no, the grout is waterproof enough, so it's fine. So they make that mistake. Now the cost is basically twice the original price to repair after the fact, because they're going to have this ongoing water damage, and they're going to have to keep repairing, dampen the walls, dampen the ceiling downstairs, and now they've gone with a quick fix over the top. So a solution for us is going to be, when we've established this property, towards the end of the year, we're going to have the students go on holiday, and we'll do a lockdown on the property, strip out this shower, waterproof it properly, sub-tile, and then retile it properly. So that's one big thing, like make sure you do it right from the start.
Okay, we're just going downstairs so that you can just appreciate that there's 2 floors here that we're talking about. And this is the door
for this unit at the moment, which is one of the delays for us. But it's basically, it's a passage this side with the kitchen on the front, and then it's got the 4 bedrooms and the single bedroom at the end for the caretaker, and then a bathroom with 2 toilets, 2 showers, which is sufficient for this section. And then this is a wash trough. A lot of the students prefer wash troughs, so we're actually going to have to put in a second one of these to make sure we've got enough for the amount of students in this building.
Okay.
And then coming around the corner here, we then have where the windy dryers are going to be, and it gives you a nice pan of the rooms downstairs. So there's 5 windows down here, and then 5 windows upstairs, with the toilets up here as well.
Okay, so we're just going to do a walkthrough of the inside on the first floor, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so what area is this one, babe?
So this is the lounge area, common area as such. We're going to do flat screen TV on this wall, which so it gives the students that entertainment space. And then we come straight into the kitchen. We're going to have to redesign this kitchen for what the students' needs are. Specifically, the needs are 3 stoves for the number of students on this floor, and individual lock-up cabinets for each student to be able to lock away their groceries and their pots and pans. We're going to have to give them a new counter space.
Have you already designed what's the look and feel of this kitchen is going to be like?
So the nice thing about our relationship with a managing agent who specializes in students is they do it for all their buildings. So we just copy and paste what they have in those buildings.
Okay.
We use their same contractor. So it is a no-brainer for it. They just repeat what they're doing on other buildings.
Okay. And have they been on site already to assess the property? And they're familiar with the property already?
They're familiar with the property. So before we signed the deal on this one, we brought them in to walk through and say, hey, are we happy with the spaces in the rooms? Will we meet the numbers that we're predicting on this property? what work do you think needs to be done. So they've given us a nice high-level pricing structure to work on for this. Unfortunately, with a lot of these things, there might be a little bit of fluctuation up or down. So we're as close as we can be on this. So they've given us that information already. After we've signed, we've then brought them in again and now spent a lot more time with them finalizing the quotes on this one.
Okay.
And the plan for it.
So I think it's quite clear that before a deal comes through to be a deal and we send it out to people, to the investors to say that we've got a deal on the table, in normal cases, you would have been on the project for a while.
Yeah.
Months, days?
Yeah, so this one I think we've been backwards and forwards. So it's probably about a month.
A month,
okay. Together. Usually it would probably be a little bit longer. However, we are trying to push the deadline of getting students in here for semester 2, which is starting after this week. So that's the reason we're pushing a little bit more rapidly on this one. However, the nice thing is we've already got a relationship with our student management company. So it really does mean that we can move a lot quicker as a result.
Okay. So a lot of people always ask me the questions, TJ, you're always having projects that are ready, like, so should we be ready for another one? Are there other deals that are in the pipeline already that we can also put onto the table for the investor community?
Definitely.
Okay.
I mean, look, N5 is in this game to aggressively grow the portfolio. So we are definitely hunting for as many properties as possible. We've got a few on the table, and those are slowly ticking over, making sure we do all our due diligence before we follow through with them.
Okay, good. So back to the kitchen again. Anything cool that you want to explain to us, what we're going to do differently? The sink, you're going to keep the sink?
No. So we've done a previous video on this one where the sink really is like a lot of shortcuts. I have a feeling the original owners had this vision of making sure it's maintenance free. However, maintenance free is not the same as cutting corners. And if it is failing, as a landlord, you need to make sure it's corrected. You need to make sure it's fixed. And when you fix it, you must fix it so as it's going to be permanent. It's going to be, in this situation, for students, so it needs to be hard wearing. The other thing is the stoves with ovens. You can imagine an oven for students is not necessary. It's very rare that any of them are going to want to bake cakes or anything, so it's a high energy use for nothing. So we're going to get rid of the ovens and only have stove tops in here. And then I'll walk you through, so obviously again this is that common area, and we'll go straight into one of the bedrooms. And the very nice thing about this building is it's been set up as student accommodation from when it was built. So we're not having to do any modifications to the structure of the building. All we're doing in this case is cleaning up the floors. So you can see stains in the carpets, you can see the carpets are pulling up. Obviously carpet isn't an ideal product for students, so we need to eventually retile all these rooms. Then the layout of this bedroom is not ideal for us to be able to fit 2 students into this.
How big is it? How big is the unit?
This is a 12 square meter room.
Okay.
Yeah, so it just fits into that space where it's ideal for 2 students.
Okay.
And yeah, so we'll pull out the cupboards and supply new study desks for the students. And again, hard wearing study desks. I see TJ zooming in on the light fittings. All the rooms have got bad light fittings, so we'll install new light fittings as well.
Okay. So part of the money that the people have invested into, it's going into things like cleaning up the carpets, and in some areas, not cleaning up the carpets alone, but in some areas you're actually going to strip off the carpets and put in tiles, new tiles. So some of these electricals is not compliant, you're going to take it out. The kitchen, we spoke about it, and you still need new furniture in here. There's no furniture. Maybe I can take this with me back to Joburg, maybe.
Carry on luggage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, most of the budget is actually going to furniture in this building.
Okay.
Because we're starting from scratch on this building. It's a complete new fit out on furniture.
Yeah.
It's things like the fridges that we need for the students. We need stoves, washing machines, and then it's each student needs a bed, each student needs a desk, each student needs a bedside table. And these are the requirements from the university to ensure that we get a lease directly with the university, which number one means we're only dealing with one tenant and they're paying us. And number two means we've got security, because the university will give us a 3-month lease and the university will pay consistently. Every year that lease the price on the students per bed will increase. And that's predictable for us, which gives us the opportunity to plan properly on this one. There's no big surprises.
Okay, so to conclude on this, I mean, the rooms are fairly the same. The bathing rooms, we've got a view of it. The kitchen, we've got a view of it. Downstairs, it's almost a mirror of upstairs. Correct. So we're not going to jump into it. But just to give a snippet where the project is currently, in terms of status, how far are you? So you were supposed to have moved in today. You haven't moved in, no. but you've got the keys.
We've got the keys,
which is good. So you've got access to the property now.
Correct.
Your contract has been signed one side. It hasn't been signed on the other side, right? So you are 50% on your contract. Most of your terms and conditions have been accepted, right? Yes. Back and forth in your
negotiation.
Yeah, it's been a long trail of emails.
yeah, exactly. And it's making sure it's a win-win scenario for everyone. Yeah. And we're obviously in this for business, so the numbers need to work, and there needs to be like an agreement that everyone's happy on.
Yeah. So today I'm here in Joburg, but I mean, how many times have we had calls, Zoom calls on this property just to see whether it's working or it's not working? How best can we work around it? I mean, I've lost track on how many times.
Yeah, definitely. I think in the first week there's obviously a ramp up of excitement. So we have a lot more calls in the first week. And as we dial it in, okay, what are the numbers of beds we can put into it? What is our strategy to approach this? Things like, for instance, our long-term goal on this property is to refinance it. And that's something that can only come after we've had a contract with the university put in place and we've got a track record of rental income. And so we needed to plan our strategy accordingly to that, which also reflected in our negotiations with the seller. The seller then puts them in on a back foot where it's not something that's conventional. Most sellers go, well, there's the property, sign the piece of paper, get a bond and pay me the money. Whereas in this situation, the building is built as a student accommodation and banks are very wary of getting involved in multi-let properties unless there is a second strategy around it that they can then get their value out of it. I think that's where we've had to be on the phone quite often. It's been a big thing negotiating with the seller.
Yeah.
So I think on average, the first week we were probably on a call every second day because of that backwards and forwards negotiation. And then after that, once to twice a week, sort of just touching base, making sure everyone's happy with where the progress is on the first stage of the contracts.
Yeah.
And then now we get into the aggressive space where it's on the call with the contractors, on the call with the managing agents, on the call with the selling estate agents, making sure we actually getting the responses that we've agreed to so that we can follow through on this deal.
Okay, Bevan, has been great. I think maybe touch closing points. So we're moving in, semester is coming in round about what?
A week. So in the next week, the universities start opening up. So we should be looking at getting occupancy from next week on this one.
And because of our managing partners, we've got a good pipeline that's coming from there. Because some of our investors already, we need to start paying them in. By the 10th of August, it's going to be chiching for them.
From there, our intention as landlords is to do it right the first time. So as soon as we get students in here, we make sure they're happy, to make sure that next year they come back and the year after that they come back, and we give them the best service to expect the best product that we receive back, the best earnings we can expect from this project.
Bevan, thanks a lot. And this is TJ and Bevan closing out on Project Nathson, reporting live. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers.